The overwhelming view of the Republican Conference of the Senate in the Senate is that this nomination should not be filled, this vacancy should not be filled by this lame duck president.
Indeed, withholding consent can be just as valid an exercise of our role as granting it. And deferring the confirmation process for a particular vacancy may be the most appropriate and responsible exercise of advice and consent.
We've heard a lot of complaining around here, and I suspect we're going to hear a lot more, that the Senate Judiciary Republicans met and then made public our decision not to hold hearings on the Supreme Court nomination during a heated presidential election year. Give me a break.
This committee begins one of its most solemn duties, and although the full Senate must ultimately act on this nomination, this committee has the obligation to build a record and to conduct the most in-depth inquiry that we can.
As always, the Constitution sets the standard. The President nominates, the Senate deliberates, and then we are obligated to give our advice and consent in an up or down vote.
I'm committed to ensuring that this process is fair and respectful, but also thorough. The Constitution tasks our Senate with conducting a comprehensive review of the nominee's record and qualifications. You've been nominated to a lifetime position. Consequently, the Senate has a tremendous responsibility to ensure that you truly understand the proper role of a justice and the Supreme Court in our system of government.
It's fair to ask legitimate questions. It's fair to disagree. It's even fair to disagree on particular cases of law. But I think it's time to stop the politics and do what's right for the Supreme Court and this country. It's undignified to do otherwise.
A president is entitled to some deference in a selection of a Supreme Court justice. President Clinton and I are unlikely to agree on the person who ought to be nominated, but so long as the nominee is experienced in the law, intelligent, of good character and temperament, and gives clear and convincing evidence of understanding the proper role of the judiciary in our system of government, I can support that nomination and that nominee.
The Senate needs to do its job and conduct a comprehensive and careful review of your record and qualifications. You're nominated to a lifetime position on the highest court. The Senate has a tremendous responsibility to confirm an individual who has superior intellectual abilities, solid legal expertise, and an even judicial demeanor and temperament.
At some point, however, we as a committee will need to come to terms with our confirmation process. The current regime treats Supreme Court nominees more like piñatas than human beings. And that's something none of us should be willing to tolerate.